I'm Tara, 42 years old, and mother to the brightest kids you'll ever meet. Noah, who's 12, and Sophie, who's 10. After my divorce 3 years ago, we moved into my parents' house in a quiet Colorado suburb, thinking it would be our lifeline. I work long hours as a high school counselor, helping teenagers navigate their futures, and I needed support to keep my own kids steady. My parents, Diane and Frank, promised to help with childcare, and for a while it seemed like we'd found our footing. But when my sister Kelly had her twins, everything changed. And my parents stopped babysitting my kids, dropping everything for hers instead. I never imagined they'd push Noah and Sophie aside so completely. But when Kelly said my children were a burden, I didn't cry or beg. I planned. 2 weeks later, I had 31 missed calls, and that was just the start of making them regret their choices. If you want to see a family's true colors exposed, stick around for this story on Total Revenge. The scent of coffee and cinnamon wafted through my parents' kitchen as I hurried Noah and Sophie out the door for school. Oh, there. Backpacks bouncing against their small frames. The morning light spilled through the bay window, glinting off the polished oak table where I used to do homework as a kid. Surface now cluttered with Kelly's baby bottles and burp cloths. My sneakers squeaked on the hardwood floor, polished, to a shana maintained despite my 12-hour workdays. Noah adjusted his glasses, muttering about a math test, while Sophie tied her sneakers, her ponytail swinging with each quick loop. My parents' house, a sprawling 3-story colonial, felt both familiar and foreign, its walls heavy with memories and new tensions. "Hurry up, guys! The bus leaves in 10 minutes, I said, handing them lunch bags packed with sandwiches. I'd made it midnight. Diane, my mother, sat at the table, cooing over Kelly's twins, Ava and Ethan, who gurgled in matching high chairs that cost $300 each. "Tara, can you grab some more formula from the pantry?" she called, not looking up, her voice sweet but distracted by the baby's tiny fists. "I'm running late, Mom. Can Kelly get it?" I replied, slinging my work tote over my shoulder, the weight of files for today's student meetings pulling at my arm. Diane's lips pursed, a familiar sign of disapproval, as she rocked Ava's high chair gently. "Kelly's exhausted, Tara. She was up all night with the twins. You could help out a little." I bit back a response, glancing at Noah, who was tying his shoe with deliberate slowness, his face tight with something I couldn't read. Sophie tugged my sleeve, whispering, "Grandma never asks Kelly to do anything, does she?" My heart sank, but I forced a smile, brushing her hair back. "We'll talk later, sweetie. Go catch the bus." The kids darted out their footsteps, fading as the screen doors slammed, leaving me in the kitchen with the sting of Sophie's words and the weight of my mother's favoritism. Kelly shuffled in, her hair in a messy bun, wearing yoga pants and a sweatshirt that probably cost more than my monthly car payment. She was 35, 7 years younger than me, and always the one who could do no wrong in our parents' eyes. "Morning, Tara. Thanks for getting the kids off. I swear I'm drowning with these too," she said, scooping Ethan from his high chair, her tone light but edged with expectation. I nodded, grabbing my keys from the counter. The metal cooled against my palm and headed for the door, my stomach knotting with unspoken frustration. "Tara, wait. Can you pick up diapers on your way home?" Kelly called, already turning back. To the twins, not waiting for my answer. "Got a late meeting, Kelly? Maybe Dad can grab them," I said, my voice steady but firm, though I knew Frank would be at the golf course, as usual. Kelly's eyes narrowed, but Diane cut in. "Oh, Tara, it's just diapers. It won't kill you to help your sister." I left without responding, the door clicking shut behind me, the morning air sharp with the promise of autumn and the weight of a battle I hadn't yet named. My office at Lincoln High School was a small haven, its walls lined with college posters and student artwork, the faint hum of the heater a contrast to the chaos at home. I spent the day meeting with students, helping a shy junior draft a college essay, guiding a senior through scholarship applications, each interaction grounding me in purpose. But Sophie's whisper lingered, and during my lunch break, I checked my phone to find a text from Noah. "Grandma forgot to sign my permission slip. Can you come home?" My fingers hovered over the reply, guilt and anger warring in my chest tide. Reminded Diane last night, but she'd been too busy knitting booties for Kelly's twins. I texted back, "I'll handle it, bud, don't worry," and called the school office to fax the form, my voice tight as I explained the oversight to the secretary. Back at my desk, I pulled out a notebook, jotting down the times Diane and Frank had prioritized Kelly's twins over my kids. 3 missed school pickups, 4 forgotten doctor appointments, countless small slights. I'd been saving for a rental. $12,000 tucked away from extra counseling sessions. But the favoritism was eroding my kids' confidence, and I couldn't wait any longer. By the time I left work, the sky was bruising purple, and I drove home with a growing resolve to change things, my hands gripping the steering wheel like a lifeline. The house was quiet when I walked in. The living room dim, except for the glow of a lamp where Kelly sat feeding Ava, the soft suckling. Sounds filling the space. Noah and Sophie were in their shared bedroom upstairs, a cramped space once used for storage. Its walls bare except for a single poster of Noah's favorite soccer team. "Hey, Mom, can we talk?" Noah called as I passed their door, his voice hesitant, his glasses slipping down his nose. I sat on Sophie's bed, the mattress creaking under me, and noticed her clarinet case untouched in the corner, a sign she hadn't practiced in days. "Grandpa said we're too loud when we play in the backyard," Sophie said, crossing her arms, her blue eyes flashing with hurt. "But Ava and Ethan can cry all they want, and nobody cares." I pulled them both into a hug, their small bodies warm against mine, and promised, "I'm going to fix this, okay? Just give me a little time." Downstairs, I found Diane in the kitchen, chopping vegetables for dinner, the knife's rhythm sharp against the cutting board, while Frank watched. A golf tournament on TV, oblivious to the tension. "Diane, we need to talk about Noah and Sophie," I said, leaning against the counter, the smell of onions sharp in the air. She didn't look up, just kept chopping, her hands steady but her mouth tight. "They're fine, Tara. Kids are resilient. You worry too much," she said, dismissing me as she always did when Kelly wasn't the topic. "They're not fine, Mom. They feel ignored. You forgot Noah's permission slip. And Sophie's scared to practice her clarinet because you shush her," I said, my voice calm but firm, my heart pounding. Diane sighed, setting the knife down, her eyes meeting mine with irritation. "Kelly's twins need more attention. Tara, they're only 6 months old. You can't expect us to treat them the same as your kids." I took a deep breath, the words cutting deeper than I'd expected, and said, "They're your grandchildren, too. They deserve equal love." Diane waved me off, turning back to her vegetables, muttering, "You're being dramatic. As usual, always making it about you." Dinner that night was tense, the dining table crowded with Kelly's baby gear. Noah and Sophie picking at their food in silence. Kelly breezed in late, Ethan on her hip, her husband Ben trailing behind with a tired smile, his suit wrinkled from a long day at his accounting firm. "Sorry we're late. Ethan had a doctor's appointment," Kelly said, settling into a chair as Diane rushed to warm a bottle. Noah whispered to me, "They forgot my soccer game last week, too." And I squeezed his hand under the table, my resolve hardening. After dinner, I helped the kids with homework in their room, the faint sound of Kelly's laughter downstairs grating against my nerves. I tucked them in, kissing Sophie's forehead, her hair smelling of strawberry shampoo, and promised Noah I'd be at his next game no matter what. Back in my own room, a small guest space with a twin bed and a single dresser, I pulled out my notebook again, adding more notes. Kelly's demand for babysitting, Diane's refusal to watch Noah and Sophie, Frank's comment that Kelly's kids were special. I wasn't just saving for a house anymore, I was building a case. And I'd make sure my kids were never invisible again. The next morning, I woke to a text from Kelly. "Can you watch the twins this afternoon? I've got a hair appointment." Mom's busy. Stared at the screen, my coffee cooling on the nightstand, the audacity of her request igniting a spark of anger. I'd asked Diane to watch Noah and Sophie last week for a mandatory work meeting, and she'd said she was too tired, yet she'd babysat Kelly's twins the next day for a spa day. I replied, "Sorry, I'm working, ask Ben," and hit send, my fingers trembling with the effort to stay calm. At work, I confided in my colleague Rachel over lunch in the staff room. The smell of microwave popcorn mingling with our conversation. "It's like my kids don't exist to them," I said, pushing my salad around, my voice low to avoid other teachers' ears. Rachel, who'd known me since college, leaned forward, her brown eyes sharp with empathy. "Tara, you need to get out of there. Your kids deserve better, and so do you," she said, her words echoing the thoughts I'd been avoiding for months. That evening, found Noah sitting on the back porch, sketching in his notebook, the pencils scratching softly against the paper. "Grandpa said I shouldn't draw during Ethan's nap time. It's distracting," he said, his voice small. His shoulders hunched. I sat beside him, the wooden steps cold through my jeans, and pulled him close, his hair tickling my chin. "You can draw whenever you want. Noah, your art is important," I said, my voice firm despite the lump in my throat. Sophie joined us, her clarinet case in hand, and said, "I heard Grandma tell Kelly we're too much work. That's why they don't watch us." The words hit like a punch, and I hugged them both, the cool evening air carrying the scent of pine from the nearby trees. I decided then to confront Kelly directly, to lay bare the hurt her words and my parents' actions were causing. I'd spent years keeping the peace. But peace at the cost of my kids' happiness wasn't worth it anymore. The confrontation came the next day, a Saturday, when Kelly dropped by with the twins, her SUV parked crookedly in the driveway. Diane was fawning over Ava, adjusting her tiny hat, while Frank set up a playpen in the living room, ignoring Noah's soccer ball by the door. "Kelly, we need to talk," I said, standing in the kitchen, the coffee maker gurgling behind me. It's warmth, a small comfort. Kelly raised an eyebrow, bouncing Ethan gently, her gold bracelets jingling. "What's up, Tara? You look stressed," she said, her tone light but dismissive, as if my concerns were trivial. "Your kids get all of Mom and Dad's time. Mine get nothing, and you called them a burden," I said, my voice steady, though my hands clenched at my sides. Kelly laughed, a sharp sound that grated against my nerves. I said, "Oh, come on. My twins are babies. They need more care. Your kids are old enough to handle themselves." Diane, overhearing, chimed in, "Tara, stop making a fuss. Family means prioritizing who needs it most. Kelly's overwhelmed." I took a deep breath, the kitchen's fluorescent light harsh overhead, and said, "Noah and Sophie are your family, too, and they're hurting because you treat them like they don't matter." Kelly rolled her eyes, adjusting Ethan's blanket, and said, "They're fine, Tara. You're just sensitive, always have been." Frank wandered in, his golf shirt crisp, and added, "Let's not make a big deal out of this. Tara, kids need to learn to share attention." Noah, who'd been listening from the hallway, stepped in, his voice quiet but clear. "We don't want attention, we just want to feel like we belong here." The room fell silent, Sophie peeking around the corner, her eyes wide with a mix of fear and pride. Diane's face softened for a moment, but Kelly snapped, "If there's such a problem, maybe they should do more chores to earn their place here." That was the moment I knew words wouldn't fix this. I needed action, and I needed it now. I smiled, a calm settling over me, and said, "We'll see about that. Kelly, you've made your priorities clear." That night, I sat in my room, the lamp casting shadows on the wall, and opened my laptop to check my savings. $12,000, enough for a deposit on a rental I'd toured last week. I'd been working extra evening sessions, charging $50 per hour for college, counseling, saving every penny for a 3-bedroom apartment 10 minutes from school. But Kelly's words, "earned their place," echoed, and I realized staying here was poisoning my kids' sense of worth. I called Rachel, her voice a lifeline through the phone's static, and told her everything. "Tara, You've got this. I've got a spare room if you need a place to crash while you finalize the rental. She offered her kindness a balm to my frayed nerves. I thanked her, my fingers tracing the edge of a photo of Noah and Sophie at a school play, their smiles bright despite the chaos at home. I found an old journal in my dresser, one I'd kept since the divorce, filled with notes on Diane and Frank's favoritism. 5 times they'd babysat Kelly's twins but refused mine. 3 times they'd bought gifts for Ava and Ethan, but not my kids. Tomorrow, I'd start building my case, not just to leave, but to make them see what they'd done. Sunday morning dawned cold, the frost on my car windows glinting as I drove Noah and Sophie to soccer practice, their chatter a welcome distraction. Back home, Kelly was in the living room, her twins napping in the playpen while Diane knitted. Another blanket for them, the needles clicking rhythmically. "Tira, can you watch the twins for an hour? I've got a yoga class," Kelly said, already grabbing her bag, assuming my answer. "No, Kelly, I've got plans with my kids," I said, my voice firm, the words tasting like freedom. Diane looked up, shocked, and said, "Tara, it's just an hour. Don't be selfish." I shook my head, grabbing my coat, and said, "I'm prioritizing my kids like you do for Kelly's. Fair's fair." Noah and Sophie waited by the door, their faces brightening as I led them out to the car. The air crisp with the scent of fallen leaves. We spent the day at the park, their laughter echoing as they kicked a soccer ball, and I knew I was close to breaking free at work the next day. I met with my principal, explaining I needed a personal day to finalize a rental agreement. The office's fluorescent hum steadying my nerves. She nodded, her glasses glinting, and said, "Take care of your family, Tara. We've got you covered." I spent my lunch break calling the landlord, confirming the lease for a 3-bedroom apartment. Rent at $1,500 a month, within my budget thanks to my savings. The lease started November 1st, just 10 days away, and I arranged for furniture delivery, beds, a couch, a kitchen table, all ordered with my carefully saved funds. Back home, I found a note from Diane on the fridge. "Tara, please pick up milk. Kelly's too busy." Crumpled it, my anger flaring, and added it to my journal. Another piece of evidence of their dismissal. Noah came home with a drawing from art class, a vibrant sketch of our family, but Diane barely glanced at it, too busy cooing over Ethan's first tooth. Sophie, practicing her clarinet in the garage to avoid complaints, looked up as I joined her, saying, "Mom, I don't want to live here anymore." I hugged her, promising, "We won't, sweetheart, not for much longer." The next incident came midweek when Frank promised to take Noah to his soccer game but canceled last minute to babysit Kelly's twins so she could attend a book club. Noah sat on the couch, his cleats untouched, his face pale as he said, "Grandpa said Ethan needed him more, but it was my championship." I knelt beside him, my hands on his shoulders, and said, "You're my champion, Noah, and I'll be at every game from now on." I called Rachel, arranging for her to pick up Sophie from school the next day so I could attend Noah's makeup game. My heart aching but resolute. That night, I found an email from Kelly in my inbox. "Tara, Mom says you're not helping enough. Can you take the twins tomorrow? Ben's working late." I didn't reply, instead forwarding it to my journal. Another mark against her entitlement. I spent the evening packing essentials in secret clothes. Noah's sketchbooks, Sophie's clarinet, a photo of us at the beach before the divorce. The apartment key was already in my purse, a promise of a new start. And I was ready to confront them all. Friday brought the breaking point. A cold morning with frost on the windows and tension thick in the house. Diane was in the kitchen preparing a bottle for Ava, while Kelly sat at the table, scrolling through her phone planning a weekend getaway. "Kara, can you watch the twins this weekend? We're going to the mountains," Kelly said, not looking up, her tone assuming my compliance. "No, Kelly, I have plans with Noah and Sophie," I said, pouring coffee, the mug warm in my hands, my voice steady. Diane slammed the bottle down, milk splashing, and said, "Tara, You're being impossible. Family helps family, Kelly needs a break. Sophie, overhearing from the hallway, ran in, her voice shaking. You never help us, Grandma. You only care about Ava and Ethan. Frank, entering from the garage, frowned and said, Sophie, don't talk to your grandmother like that. Babies need more care. I stepped forward, my heart pounding, but my voice calm, and said, my kids need care too, and I'm done letting you treat them like they're less. Kelly stood, her face flushed, and said, if Noah and Sophie are so hard to handle, maybe they should do more to help around here. They're old enough. The words echoed her earlier demand to earn their place. And Noah, standing behind Sophie, clenched his fists, his glasses fogging with unshed tears. Diane nodded, adding, they could clean the garage or watch the twins sometimes. It's only fair. I looked at my kids, their faces crumpling, and felt a fire ignite inside me, a mother's resolve to protect them at all costs. We're not your maids or your babysitters, I said, my voice cutting through the room like a blade. Noah and Sophie deserve respect, and if you can't give it, we're leaving. Kelly laughed, sharp and cold, saying, good luck. With that, Tara, where are you going to go on your counselor's salary? I smiled, a calm certainty settling over me, and said, you'll see, Kelly. You've underestimated us for the last time. I took Noah and Sophie's hands, leading them upstairs, whispering, pack your bags, we're done here. Noah and Sophie clutched their backpacks, their small faces set with determination as we walked out of my parents' house. The screen door slamming behind us with a sharp crack. The Colorado air bit at my cheeks, carrying the scent of pine and frost as I loaded their bags into my car, its engine humming reliably in the dusk. Kelly stood on the porch, arms crossed, her silhouette framed by the warm glow of the living room, while Diane and Frank watched silently, their expressions a mix of shock and disapproval. Tara, you're making a mistake. You can't just walk away like this, Diane called, her voice trembling with forced calm, but I didn't turn back. Sophie whispered, are we really leaving for good, Mom? As she buckled her seatbelt, her clarinet case resting on her lap like a shield. I nodded, my hands steady on the wheel, and said, we're going somewhere. We're valued, sweetheart. Trust me. Noah's glasses glinted in the rearview mirror as he added, I don't want to come back if they don't care about us. My heart ached, but I drove toward Rachel's house, my phone buzzing with 6 missed calls from Kelly. Each one a spark fueling my resolve to make them regret their choices. Rachel's small bungalow glowed warmly in the evening light, its front porch cluttered with potted plants and a weathered swing creaking in the breeze. She opened the door before I could knock, her brown eyes soft with understanding, and ushered us inside. The smell of fresh-baked cookies filling the air. You're safe here, Tara, all of you, she said, helping Noah and Sophie settle into her guest room, where an air mattress and a pull-out couch waited, draped in colorful quilts. The kids dropped their bags, Sophie clutching her clarinet case while Noah pulled out his sketchbook, his fingers already tracing lines to calm his nerves. I've got pizza on the way and we'll watch a movie. Make it a fun night, Rachel said, her voice a lifeline in the chaos. I hugged her, whispering, thank you. I didn't know where else to go, my throat tight with gratitude and exhaustion. Over pizza, Sophie giggled for the first time in weeks, telling Rachel about her clarinet solo, while Noah showed her a drawing of a dragon, his confidence flickering back. I sat back, the warmth of Rachel's home wrapping around us, and knew this was the first step toward rebuilding what my parents and Kelly had tried to take. The next morning, I woke to the smell of coffee brewing and Rachel's quiet footsteps. In the kitchen, the clock showing 7 a.m. Noah and Sophie were still asleep, their faces peaceful on the air mattress, a stark contrast to the tension they'd carried at my parents' house. I checked my phone, 12 more missed calls from Kelly, 3 from Diane, and a text from Frank that read, come back and talk, Tara. This is ridiculous. I ignored them, opening my journal instead, its pages filled with notes on their favoritism. 7 times Diane refused to babysit my kids but watched Kelly's twins. For forgotten school events, Kelly's comment that Noah and Sophie were too much work. I'd been saving $15,000 for our rental, but now I needed more than a new home. I needed to expose their neglect and protect my kids' futures. Rachel handed me a mug of coffee, its warmth grounding me, and said, "You're doing the right thing, Tara, but what's your next move?" I sipped the coffee, its bitterness sharp, and said, "I'm going back today to get our things. Then I'm confronting them with evidence. They need to see what they've done." She nodded, her expression fierce, and said, "I'm coming. With you, you're not facing them alone." We arrived at my parents' house at 10 a.m. The driveway empty except for Frank's truck, its chrome glinting in the morning sun. Noah and Sophie stayed close, their backpacks slung over their shoulders as Rachel parked her car behind mine, a silent show of support. Diane opened the door, her eyes red and puffy, and said, "Tara, you didn't need to bring a stranger into this. Let's keep it family." I shook my head, stepping inside, the familiar scent of lavender air freshener cloying in my nose, and said, "Rachel's here because she cares about my kids, unlike you." Noah clutched my hand, his sketchbook tucked under his arm, while Sophie stood tall, her clarinet case a quiet defiance. Frank appeared from the living room, his golf cap in hand, and said, "This is nonsense, Tara. You're overreacting to a little rearrangement." I held up my journal, its pages worn from late-night notes, and said, "This isn't about a rearrangement. It's about you choosing Kelly's kids over mine, every single time." Kelly walked in, holding Ava, her face flushed as she snapped, "You're making a scene in front of your kids, Tara. Grow up." I led Noah and Sophie upstairs to pack. The narrow hallway lined with family photos that rarely included us, their frames collecting dust. Their small bedroom was a mess, clothes and books scattered from yesterday's rush. And Sophie whispered they didn't even care. We left, did they? I knelt beside her, packing her clarinet music, and said, "They'll care when they see what they've lost, sweetheart, I promise." Noah stuffed his sketchbooks into a duffel bag, his hands shaking, and said, "I heard Grandpa tell Kelly we're ungrateful, but we never asked for anything." Rachel helped carry boxes, her presence a steady anchor as we moved quickly, filling my car with clothes, books, and Sophie's sports gear. Downstairs, Diane watched, her hands twisting a dish towel, and said, "Tara, you're tearing this family apart over nothing." I set a box by the door, my voice calm but firm, and said, "You tore it apart when you told my kids they don't deserve your time." Frank stepped forward, his voice loud. "You've always been jealous of Kelly. Admit it. This is about you, not your kids." Rachel's eyes flashed, but she stayed silent as I faced Frank, my journal open in my hands, pages marked with dates and incidents. 7 times you refused to watch Noah and Sophie, but babysat Kelly's twins for school. Events you missed, 3 times you called my kids a burden. I said, my voice steady, each word a brick in my case. Diane's face paled, but Kelly scoffed, bouncing Ethan, and said, "You're keeping score like a child, Tara. Babies need more attention. Deal with it." Sophie stepped forward, her voice small but clear. "We're not babies, but we're your grandkids too. Why don't you love us?" The room went quiet, Noah's hand tightening in mine, and Diane looked away, her silence louder than any excuse. I handed Rachel the last box, my heart pounding but my resolve unshaken, and said, "We're done here. I'll be back for the rest tomorrow." Kelly followed us to the porch, her voice sharp. "You'll regret this. Tara, you can't afford to live without Mom and Dad's help." I turned, smiling, and said, "Watch me, Kelly. You've underestimated us for too long." Back at Rachel's, we unloaded the boxes, the kids settling into her guest room with a quiet excitement, their faces lighter than they'd been in months. Sophie practiced her clarinet in the backyard, the notes floating through the open window, while Noah sketched at the kitchen table, his pencil scratching softly. Rachel made hot chocolate, the mug steaming as she sat with me, her voice low. They're going to push back, Tara. What's your plan? I pulled out my laptop, opening the lease agreement for our new apartment, rent at $1,500 a month, move-in date November 1st. I've got the apartment secured and I'm documenting everything. Their words, their actions. I'm not letting them rewrite this story, I said, my fingers tapping the keys. My phone buzzed with a text from Kelly. You're being selfish. Tara, Mom's crying. Come back and fix this. I showed Rachel, who shook her head and said she's trying to guilt you. Don't fall for it. I typed a reply. We'll talk when you respect my kids, not before, and hit send, my heart racing but steady with purpose. Monday morning, took a personal day from work, dropping Noah and Sophie at school, their smiles bright as they waved from the bus stop. At Rachel's, I spread my journal across her kitchen table. Its pages a timeline of neglect, 10 instances of favoritism in the last month alone. 5 times Diane prioritized Kelly's twins over my kids' needs. I called my landlord, confirming. Furniture delivery for our new apartment, a 3-bedroom unit with a small balcony. It's perfect for Noah's sketches and Sophie's clarinet practice. The landlord, a kind older woman, said, You're doing right by your kids, Tara. Seen too many families let favoritism ruin them. I thanked her. The phone's weight lightened my hand and added her words to my journal. Another ally in my fight. Rachel suggested contacting a lawyer friend, Sarah, who specialized in family disputes, to explore legal options for documenting the neglect. You're not suing, but a paper trail could protect you if they escalate, Rachel said, pouring more coffee, its aroma mixing with the morning chill. I nodded, emailing Sarah to set up a meeting, my plan taking shape like a puzzle coming together. Sarah's office was a small suite downtown, its walls lined with law books and a faint scent of lemon cleaner. She listened as I recounted the favoritism, her pen scratching notes, her glasses perched on her nose. Kara, you've got a strong case for establishing boundaries, especially if they try to interfere with your move, she said, sliding a legal pad across her desk. She suggested drafting a formal letter to Diane, Frank, and Kelly, outlining their actions and my demand for equal treatment, with a warning of legal steps if they continued. It's not about punishment, it's about protecting Noah and Sophie's well-being. Sarah said, her voice calm but firm. I left with a draft letter, its words sharp and clear, detailing 15 specific incidents from forgotten soccer games to Kelly's burden comment. Back at Rachel's, I revised the letter, my laptop glowing in the dim evening light. Each sentence a step toward reclaiming my kids' worth. Noah peeked over my shoulder, asking, Is that for Grandma and Grandpa? Okay, and I nodded, saying, It's to make sure they understand, Bud, we're not invisible. Tuesday brought a new challenge. Kelly showed up at Rachel's unannounced, her SUV idling in the driveway, Ava in her arms. Tara, we need to talk. You're breaking Mom's heart, she said, stepping inside without asking, her perfume sharp. In the cozy space. Rachel stayed nearby, folding laundry, her presence a quiet support as I faced Kelly. You broke my kids' hearts first. Kelly, calling them a burden, letting Mom and Dad ignore them. I said, my voice low but steady. The letter in my hand. Kelly's eyes narrowed, and she said, You're blowing this out of proportion. My twins need more care. It's not personal. Noah, home from school, overheard and said, It feels personal when Grandma forgets my games, but babysits your kids every day. Kelly flinched, but recovered, saying, Kids don't get it, Tara, you're teaching them to hold grudges. I handed her the letter, its pages crisp, and said, Read this, Kelly. Every time you and our parents chose your twins over my kids, we're done being second place. Kelly skimmed the letter, her face reddening, and tossed it on the table, saying, This is ridiculous, Tara. You're acting like we're monsters. We're just busy. Rachel stepped forward, her voice calm. Busy doesn't justify neglecting to kids who've done nothing but try to fit in. Kelly glared, grabbing Ava's diaper bag, and said, You'll see how hard it is without Mom and Dad's help. Good luck on your own. As she stormed out, Sophie came home, her clarinet case swinging, and asked, "Was that Aunt Kelly? Is she mad?" I hugged her, the scent of her strawberry shampoo grounding me, and said, "She's upset because we're standing up for ourselves, and that's okay." That night, I mailed the letter to Diane and Frank, certified, ensuring they'd see every word of their betrayal laid bare. My phone buzzed with a voicemail from Diane. "Tara, this letter is unfair. Come home and talk. We're family." I deleted it, my resolve unshaken, knowing the real fight was coming Wednesday. I met with Sarah again, her office a quiet refuge as we reviewed the letter's impact. "They'll either back down or double down," she said, adjusting her glasses. Her desk cluttered with legal files. She suggested recording any further interactions. Legal in Colorado with one-party consent to build evidence if they escalated. I bought a small recorder, its weight light, in my purse, and practiced using it at Rachel's, capturing Noah's laughter as he sketched a reminder of what I was fighting for. At work, my principal pulled me aside, noticing my stress, and said, "Tara, you're one of our best counselors. Take whatever time you need for your kids." I thanked her, tears pricking my eyes, and spent my lunch break calling furniture stores, confirming delivery for our apartment's beds and couch, totaling $3,000 from my savings. Back at Rachel's, Sophie practiced her clarinet, the notes clear and strong, while Noah showed me a new drawing, a house with a bright red door, our future home. I tucked them in, promising just a few more days, and we'll have our own place where you can be as loud as you want. Thursday morning, I drove to my parents' house to collect the rest of our belongings. Rachel following in her car for support, the recorder in my pocket ready. Diane answered the door, her face drawn, and said, "Tara, you're tearing us apart. Just come back and we'll work it out." Frank stood behind her, arms crossed, and added, "You're being selfish. Kelly needs us more. Her twins are younger." I stepped inside, the lavender scent now stifling, and said, "This isn't about Kelly. It's about Noah and Sophie feeling worthless in your home." Kelly appeared, Ethan on her hip, and snapped, "You're making my life harder, Tara. Mom and Dad can't help me if they're dealing with your drama." I hit record, my voice calm. "You called my kids a burden, Kelly. And you've let Mom and Dad ignore them for months. That's the drama." Diane gasped. But Frank said, "You're twisting things, Tara. We love all our grandkids. You're just jealous." Sophie, carrying a box of books, said, "You don't love us the same, Grandpa. You never come to my concerts," and I saw Diane flinch, the truth hitting home. We packed quickly, filling my car with the last of our clothes, Noah's science kit, and Sophie's soccer gear, the house feeling smaller with each trip. Kelly followed me to the driveway, her voice low. "You're going to crash and burn, Tara. You can't afford a place on your own. You'll beg to come back." I smiled, the recorder catching every word, and said, "I've got $15,000 saved, Kelly, and a lease signed. We're not begging anyone." Rachel helped load the final box, her eyes fierce, and whispered, "You've got this." "Tara, they're rattled." As we drove away, Noah said, "I'm glad we're leaving. Mom, I want to feel like I matter." I squeezed his hand, the road, stretching toward Rachel's house, and said, "You do matter, bud, and our new home will show it." That night, I sent the recording to Sarah, who replied, "This is gold. Tara, if they push, we'll use it to show their bias." I fell asleep on Rachel's couch, kids soft breathing, a reminder that we were close to freedom. But the fight wasn't over. Friday, I took another personal day, meeting with the landlord to get the apartment keys early, the metal cool in my hand, a symbol of our new start. The apartment was small but bright, its hardwood floors gleaming, a balcony overlooking a quiet street where Noah could sketch in peace. I arranged for utilities, costing $200 to activate, and confirmed furniture delivery for Saturday. My savings now at $12,000. At Rachel's, I showed the kids photos of the apartment, their eyes lighting up at the promise of their own rooms. Sophie asked, "Can I practice my clarinet without anyone yelling?" And I nodded. saying, "Every day, sweetheart, as loud as you want." Noah added, "I want to hang my drawings on the walls, not hide them," and I hugged them, their hope fueling my resolve. My phone buzzed with a text from Kelly. "Mom's sick from stress. Tara, fix this or you're cut off for good." Showed Rachel, who said she's desperate. "Tara, you've got the upper hand. Keep pushing." Saturday, we moved essentials into the apartment. Rachel and 2 coworkers helping carry boxes, the kids' laughter echoing in the empty rooms. The furniture arrived by noon, beds set up in each bedroom, a couch in the living room, a table in the kitchen, all costing $3,500 from my savings. Noah hung his dragon drawing above his bed, its colors vibrant against the white wall, while Sophie set her clarinet on a stand, claiming her space. We ordered pizza, the smell filling the apartment, and sat on the floor, the kids joking about decorating with fairy lights. Rachel raised her soda can, saying to Tara, Noah, and Sophie, "To new beginnings where you're always enough." I clinked my can against hers, tears pricking my eyes, and said, "To my kids, who deserve everything." That night I tucked them into their new beds, Sophie whispering, "I feel safe here, Mom," and Noah adding, "It's like we can finally be us." I kissed their foreheads, the apartment quiet except for the hum of the fridge, and knew we'd crossed a threshold, but Kelly's threat lingered Sunday. I drafted a public letter for the local community newsletter, detailing the favoritism, without naming Kelly directly, focusing on Noah and Sophie's hurt. I sent it to the editor, a friend from work, who promised to publish it Monday, saying, "This'll shake things up, Tara. The town loves you." My phone buzzed with a voicemail. From Diane. "Tara, Kelly says you're spreading lies. Meet us tomorrow to clear this up." I saved it, adding it to my evidence, and called Sarah, who said, "They're panicking. Tara, the letter's a smart move. It'll rally support." Monday morning, the newsletter hit mailboxes, and by noon, my phone was flooded with texts. From neighbors and coworkers, we had no idea. "Tara, we're behind you, and your kids deserve better." At work, students stopped by my office offering hugs, their support a warmth I hadn't expected. Rachel called saying, "The town's talking. Tara, Kelly's losing her shine. What's next?" I smiled, checking my recorder, and said, "A meeting on my terms. They'll face the truth or lose us for good." Tuesday, I arranged a meeting at Sarah's office, inviting Diane, Frank, and Kelly, the letters specifying neutral ground to discuss family dynamics. Kelly replied, "This better not be a stunt, Tara. We're ready to fight back." I forwarded it to Sarah, who said, "Let them come. We've got recordings, your journal, and community support." Noah and Sophie went to school, their steps lighter, Sophie practicing her clarinet in the apartment before leaving the notes. Bright and free. At lunch, I reviewed my journal. Now 20 pages of incidents, each one a wound, but also a weapon. A coworker, Maria, stopped by, saying, "I read the newsletter, Tara. My mom went through something similar. You're inspiring us." I thanked her, my resolve steeling, and prepared for the meeting. The recorder in my purse, my kids' faces in my mind. By evening, I stood in Sarah's office, the air thick with anticipation, ready to face my family and demand the respect we deserved. Kelly walked in first, her twins absent, her face set with defiance, followed by Diane and Frank, their silence heavy with guilt they wouldn't yet admit. Sarah's office felt like a sanctuary, its lemon-scented air a sharp contrast to the tension radiating from Kelly, Diane, and Frank as they sat across from me, their faces a mix of defiance and unease. The late afternoon sun filtered through, the blinds casting slatted shadows on the oak desk where my journal lay open, its pages a testament to months of neglect. Kelly leaned back, her arms crossed, her gold bracelets glinting as she said, "Tara, this meeting is a waste of time. You're blowing everything out of proportion." Diane clutched a tissue, her eyes red, and added, "We're family, Tara. Why are you dragging us here like criminals?" Frank sat stiffly, his golf cap on the table, and muttered, "You've always been dramatic. Let's just move past this." I stood beside Sarah, my recorder hidden in my purse, said, "This isn't drama. It's about Noah and Sophie feeling worthless because you prioritize Kelly's twins." Sarah nodded, her glasses reflecting the light, and said, "Let's review the evidence. Tara's documented 20 specific incidents of favoritism. We're here to address them." My heart pounded, but I held Kelly's gaze. Knowing this confrontation was the final step in reclaiming my kids' worth, I wasn't backing down. Kelly scoffed, tossing her hair, and said, "Your little journal doesn't prove anything, Tara. Babies need more care. That's just reality." I opened the journal, my voice steady, and read October 5th. Diane refused to watch Noah for his soccer practice, but babysat Ava and Ethan for Kelly's spa day. Diane flinched, her tissue crumpling, and said, "I was tired that day." "Tara, you're cherry-picking moments to make us look bad." Frank leaned forward, his voice gruff. "You're twisting things. We love Noah and Sophie. But Kelly's twins are younger. They need us more." Sophie's words from weeks ago echoed in my mind, her small voice saying, "They don't love us the same." And I said, "You told Sophie her clarinet was too loud." "But let Ava cry for hours. That's not love. That's favoritism." Sarah slid a copy of my letter across the desk, its pages listing 15 more incidents, and said, "This is now public. The community's seen it. Let's discuss solutions." Kelly's face reddened, and she snapped, "You're humiliating us, Tara. You'll regret this when you're begging for help." I smiled, my resolve unshaken, and said, "I'm not begging, Kelly. I've got a home, a job, and my kids' respect. That's enough." The meeting stretched on, Sarah guiding the conversation with calm precision. Her legal pad filled with notes as she outlined boundaries. Tara's requesting equal treatment for Noah and Sophie. No more prioritizing Kelly's twins and Anne. "Apology for the hurt caused," she said, her voice firm. Diane's eyes welled up, and she said, "We didn't mean to hurt them, Tara. We were just trying to help Kelly through a tough time." Frank nodded, adding, "We thought you were. Fine. You're so independent, we didn't think you needed us." I shook my head, the weight of their excuses heavy, and said, "Independence doesn't mean my kids don't need love. You made them feel invisible." Kelly rolled her eyes, but her voice wavered as she said, "Fine, maybe we went too far. But you're making it sound like we hate your kids." Sarah tapped her pen, saying, "The community's rallying behind Tara. If this escalates, the recordings and journal could go to a family court mediator." The room went quiet, Kelly's bravado faltering, and I knew the tide was turning. But I held the recorder close, ready for whatever came next. We left Sarah's office at dusk, the sky a deep purple as I drove to our new apartment. The kids waiting, with Rachel, their laughter spilling through the open window. Noah greeted me with a hug, his sketchbook open to a new drawing of our apartment, its red door vibrant, while Sophie practiced her clarinet, the notes clear and joyful. "How'd it go, Mom?" Noah asked, his glasses slipping as he looked up, hope and worry in his eyes. I sat on the couch, its cushions still stiff from being new, and said, "It's a start, bud. You're starting to see what they did, but we're staying strong." Rachel brought out hot chocolate, the mugs steaming, and said, "You're a force, Tara. The whole town's talking about your letter." Sophie set down her clarinet, asking, "Will Grandma and Grandpa visit us here?" I nodded, brushing her hair back, and said, "If they respect us, yes. But this is our home now, and you come first." The kids smiled, their relief palpable, and I felt a quiet victory. But Kelly's threat lingered, hinting at a fight not yet finished. Wednesday morning, the community newsletter's impact hit hard. My phone buzzing with 20 texts from neighbors, coworkers, and even students' parents, all offering support. "Tara, you're an inspiration. My sister dealt with favoritism too," wrote Maria, my coworker, her words a balm to my nerves. At work, a student stopped by my office, saying, "I read about you. Miss Tara, you're fighting for your kids." "That's cool." I thanked her, my heart swelling, and spent my lunch break reviewing the recordings. Kelly's voice sharp as she called my kids a burden. Sarah called saying, "The town's behind you, Tara, but Kelly's spreading rumors, claiming you're unstable. We need to counter this." I agreed to a follow-up article detailing Noah and Sophie's progress since leaving, emphasizing their happiness in our new home. Back at the apartment, Noah showed me a new sketch, a family portrait with just us three, and said, "This is us now. Mom, we don't need them." I hugged him, the scent of his pencil shavings grounding me, and said, "We've got each other." And that's everything. Thursday, Kelly texted, "Meet me at Mom's. We need to settle this, no lawyers." I forwarded it to Sarah, who said, "Take the recorder, Tara and Rachel. Don't go alone." I arrived at my parents' house at noon, Rachel by my side, the familiar lavender scent now suffocating as Kelly opened the door, her face pale. "Tara, you're ruining our family. The town thinks we're monsters," she said, her voice cracking, Ava asleep in her arms. Diane sat in the living room, knitting abandoned, and said, "We just want you back, Tara. Let's fix this." Frank stood by the window, his shoulders slumped, and added, "You're making it hard for Kelly. She's struggling." I hit record, my voice calm, and said, "You made it hard for Noah and Sophie, ignoring them for months, calling them a burden." Kelly snapped, "They're old enough to handle themselves. Tara, my twins need me more. You're selfish for not seeing that." Rachel stepped forward, saying, "Selfish is letting two kids feel worthless while you play favorites. Kelly, the town sees it now." The argument escalated, Diane crying, "We didn't mean to hurt them. Tara, we love them." But her words felt hollow after months of neglect. Frank tried to mediate, saying, "Let's compromise. Come back and we'll make time for Noah and Sophie." I shook my head, the recorder catching every word. Sin said, "We're not coming back. You need to apologize and treat my kids equally, or we're done." Kelly threw up her hands, saying, "You're impossible, Tara. You'll crash without us. Just wait." Sarah's warning echoed in my mind, and I said, "I've got $15,000 saved, a new home, and a community behind me. I'm not crashing." Rachel squeezed my arm, her presence steadying me as Diane reached out, saying, "Please, Tara, don't cut us off." I handed them a new letter outlining terms for any future relationship: equal treatment, a public apology, and no more favoritism. Kelly tossed it aside, saying, "You're dreaming, Tara. We're not groveling," but Frank picked it up, his eyes scanning the pages, a crack in his resolve. Friday, I focused on settling into the apartment, hanging Noah's drawings on the living room walls, their colors bright against the white paint. Sophie practiced her clarinet on the balcony, the notes floating over the quiet street, her confidence growing with each day. Rachel stopped by with dinner, lasagna steaming in a glass dish, and said, "The town's buzzing. Tara, Kelly's losing her charm. People are boycotting her boutique." I nodded, setting the table, the smell of garlic and cheese filling the spell. And we sat with KHS and sit on the Katie's, and we all know I've been exploring that. And we all know I've been exploring that path. And said, "The town's buzzing." They said, "Tana, Tad, Daddy's losing," where I said. We said, "Canner, Kelly's, I canner. I said, "Canner." Philed, I said. Get canner at .gnev. Air and said, "I don't want to destroy her. I just want my kids to feel valued." Noah overheard, saying, "I don't miss Grandma's house. Mom, I like it here better." Sophie added, "I can play my clarinet without anyone yelling. It's like we're free." We ate together, the kids joking about school, their laughter, a melody I'd missed for too long. My phone buzzed with a text from Sarah. "Kelly's talking to a lawyer. But your recordings are solid. We're ready if she pushes." Saturday, we hosted a small housewarming. Rachel and Maria helping set up fairy lights and a buffet of snacks, the apartment glowing with warmth. Neighbors stopped by, bringing cookies and words of support. One saying, "Tara, your newsletter." Peace opened my eyes. I'm teaching my kids about fairness now. Noah showed off his sketches, his shy smile back. while Sophie played a short clarinet piece, earning applause from the small crowd. I stood by the balcony watching the sunset, its orange glow painting the sky, and felt a peace I hadn't known in years. Diane called, her voice shaky. "Tara, can we visit tomorrow? We want to make things right." I hesitated, remembering. Sophie's hurt, and said, "Only if you're ready to apologize to Noah and Sophie, not just me." She agreed, promising to bring Frank. But Kelly was absent, her silence a warning of trouble brewing. I tucked the kids in their rooms, now fully theirs, and whispered, "You're my everything. We've got this." Their soft breathing a reminder of why I'd fought. Sunday's visit was tense. Diane and Frank arriving at 10 a.m., their faces drawn as they stepped into our apartment, its hardwood floors gleaming under the morning light. Diane clutched a photo album, saying, "Tara, we brought pictures. We want to show the kids we care." Frank nodded, his voice softer. "We messed up, Tara. We didn't see how it hurt Noah and Sophie." I sat them at the kitchen table, coffee brewing, its aroma mixing with the tension, and called the kids in their eyes, wary but curious. Noah held his sketchbook, Sophie her clarinet, both standing close as Diane opened the album, showing photos of them as babies, her voice cracking. "We love you. We're sorry we made you feel less." Sophie frowned, saying, "You never came to my concerts, but you went to Ava's checkups." Frank sighed, admitting, "We got caught up with the twins. We were wrong. Can we try again?" I watched Noah and Sophie exchange glances. There. Trust, fragile but open, and said, "It starts with actions, not just words. Show them they matter." Kelly's absence hung over the visit, Diane admitting she's upset. "Tara thinks you're trying to ruin her reputation." I nodded, the recorder still in my purse, and said, "She called my kids a burden." "Mom, I'm protecting them, not attacking her." Frank looked at the floor, saying, "We didn't realize how bad it got. We'll talk to her." The kids showed. Diane and Frank their rooms, Noah pointing out his drawings, Sophie playing a short clarinet tune, their pride shining through. Diane's eyes teared up, and she said, "You've built a beautiful home, Tara. We want to be part of it." I set terms, my voice firm, equal time for Noah and Sophie, no more favoritism, and a public apology in the newsletter. Frank hesitated, but Diane nodded, saying, "We'll do it, Tara, for the kids." They left, promising to return for dinner next week, but Kelly's silence gnawed at me. A storm waiting to break, Monday. The newsletter published Diane and Frank's apology, a short piece admitting their favoritism and pledging to treat all grandchildren equally. The town's response was overwhelming. 30 texts and calls from neighbors, coworkers, and even my principal, who said, "Tara, you've changed the conversation about family fairness." At work, students left notes on my desk, one reading, "You're a hero, Ms. Tara. Thanks for standing up." Noah came home with a gold star on his math test, his smile wide. While Sophie announced she'd been picked for the school band solo, her confidence soaring. Rachel stopped by bringing cupcakes and said, "You've won the town, Tara." But Kelly's not done. "She's posting online calling you manipulative." I checked Kelly's social media, her post claiming my sister's spreading lies. "Our parents love all their grandkids." I forwarded it to Sarah, who replied, "We've got the recordings. Tara, if she escalates, we'll use them." I nodded, setting my phone down. The apartment's quiet hum a reminder that my kids were thriving, no matter what Kelly did. Tuesday. Kelly finally called, her voice sharp. "Tara, your newsletter stunts ruining my business. Meet me tomorrow. No lawyers, just us." I agreed, telling Sarah, who insisted take the recorder, Rachel and me, we'll stay outside. The meeting was set for a coffee shop downtown, its glass windows fogged with morning mist. The smell of espresso grounding me as I sat across. From Kelly, she leaned forward, her eyes flashing, and said, "You're destroying our family, Tara. Stop this or I'll sue for defamation." I hit record, my voice calm. "You called Noah and Sophie a burden. Kelly, the town knows the truth. Sue, if you want, I've got evidence. She froze her coffee untouched and said, You recorded us. That's low, even for you. Rachel, waiting outside, texted, You okay? And I nodded, saying, Kelly, apologize to my kids. Treat them equally or we're done. She stood, slamming her chair back, and said, You'll regret this, Tara. I'm not groveling. But her voice shook, betraying her fear. Wednesday. Sarah filed a cease and desist letter against Kelly for her online claims, citing the recordings as evidence of her bias. The letter demanded a public apology and a commitment to equal treatment. Or we'd pursue mediation. Kelly didn't respond, but Diane called saying she's struggling, Tara. Her boutique's losing customers, give her time. I refused, saying, Time's up, Mom. She hurt my kids. Actions have consequences. Noah and Sophie came home. Their backpacks lighter, their faces bright as they talked about school, oblivious to the legal moves. Sophie played her clarinet solo for me, the notes filling the apartment while Noah showed me a new sketch, a park scene with us three. I tucked them in, their rooms a safe haven, and said, You're my heroes. You know that? They smiled. Sophie whispering, We're okay now, Mom, because of you. Thursday, the town rallied further. A local cafe hosting a fundraiser for Noah and Sophie's school activities, raising $2,000 in one night. Neighbors dropped off. Casseroles, their notes reading, Tara, you're showing us how to stand up for family. At work, my principal offered me a promotion to head counselor, a raise to $70,000 a year, giving me more time with the kids. I accepted, tears in my eyes, and called Rachel, who said, You're unstoppable. Tara, this is your victory. Kelly posted again, a vague apology. Misunderstandings happen. I love all my family, but it lacked sincerity. And the comments tore her apart. Sarah called saying she's backing down. Tara, no lawyer's taken her case. Your evidence is too strong. I hung up, the apartment's balcony glowing under the moonlight, and felt a weight lift. But I wasn't done fighting for my kids' respect. Noah and Sophie slept soundly, their dreams unburdened. And I knew we'd built something stronger than my parents' house ever was. Friday, Diane and Frank visited, bringing a homemade pie, its apple cinnamon scent filling the apartment as we sat at the kitchen table. Diane handed Noah and Sophie gift cards for an art store and music shop, saying, We're sorry, kids. We'll do better. Noah hesitated, then hugged her, while Sophie said, Will you come to my concert next week? Frank nodded, his voice gruff. We'll be there, Sophie, front row. I watched, my heart softening but cautious, and said, Keep showing up. That's what matters. Kelly stayed away, her silence a concession, but Sarah warned, she might try one last move. Stay ready. I kept the recorder close, my journal updated with every step, knowing trust was earned, not given. The kids went to bed, their laughter echoing, and I stood on the balcony, the stars bright above, ready for whatever came next. Saturday, we hosted another small gathering, friends and neighbors filling the apartment with warmth, the smell of pizza and cookies mingling with laughter. Noah displayed his sketches, Sophie played her clarinet, and the crowd cheered. There. Support a shield against Kelly's lingering threat. Maria brought her kids, who played with Noah and Sophie, their giggles a reminder of the community we'd built. A neighbor, Mrs. Carter, pulled me aside saying, Tara, my daughter read your story. She's leaving her toxic in-laws. You gave her courage. I thanked her, my throat tight, and realized our fight was bigger than us. It was for anyone trapped by unfair family dynamics. Diane texted, confirming they'd attend Sophie's concert. A small victory, but Kelly's absence gnawed at me, her next move still unclear. Rachel stayed late, helping clean up, and said, You've changed the game, Tara. They can't ignore you now. I nodded, the apartment quiet except for the hum of the fridge, and knew we were close to closing this chapter, but not quite there. Sunday. Sophie's concert arrived, the school auditorium packed with parents. its air thick with anticipation, and the faint scent of polished wood. Noah sat beside me, his sketchbook open, capturing the stage, while Diane and Frank took seats in the front row, as promised. Sophie stepped forward, her clarinet gleaming, and played her solo, the notes. Soaring her confidence, a stark contrast to the girl shushed at my parents' house. The crowd applauded, Diane wiping tears, and Frank clapped, his face proud, a shift I hadn't expected. After, Sophie ran to us, hugging Diane, who said, "You are amazing, Sophie. We're so sorry we missed this before." Noah showed Frank his sketch, earning a smile, and I felt a cautious hope. But Kelly's absence was a shadow, her silence louder than ever. Back home, I tucked the kids in, their faces glowing, and said, "You made me proud today. Always do." Noah whispered, "I think Grandpa meant it. Mom, maybe they'll change." And I nodded, hoping he was right, but keeping my guard up. Monday. Kelly finally broke her silence, posting a full apology online. "I was wrong to prioritize my twins. I'm sorry, Tara, Noah, and Sophie. I'll do better." Comments flooded in, praising her honesty, but I knew it was driven by pressure, not heart. Sarah called, saying she's caving. Tara, the town's support and your evidence forced her hand. I replied, "I'll believe it when she acts on it, not just words." Diane and Frank invited us for dinner next Sunday, promising equal time for Noah and Sophie, and I agreed, setting clear terms, no favoritism, or we walk away. At work, my promotion started, my new office bigger, with a window overlooking the school courtyard, a symbol of my growth. Noah joined the art club, his sketches winning a school award, while Sophie practiced daily, her solo earning her a spot in the regional band. The apartment felt like home, its walls alive with their art and music. And I knew we'd build something unbreakable, no matter what Kelly did next. Tuesday, I met Kelly at the coffee shop again, our face softer, Ava and Ethan at home with Ben. "I meant the apology, Tara. I was wrong. Can we start over?" she asked, her coffee untouched, her voice low. I leaned back, the recorder off, but my journal in my bag. Kay said, "Show it with actions. Kelly, come to Noah's art show, Sophie's next concert. Treat them like they matter." She nodded, tears in her eyes, and said, "I'll try." I didn't realize how much I hurt them. I didn't forgive her, not yet, but I offered a chance, saying, "It's on you now, Kelly. My kids deserve your effort." We parted, the air lighter but fragile, and I drove home, the sunset painting the sky gold, a promise of better days. Noah and Sophie greeted me, their homework spread on the kitchen table, and I hugged them, their warmth my anchor. "We're okay, Mom," Sophie said, and I smiled, knowing we'd fought for this peace and won. But ready for any final challenge, Wednesday, Diane and Frank kept their promise, attending Noah's art show. Praising his sketches, their faces genuine with pride. Kelly showed up late but clapped for Noah, a small step I noted in my journal, her effort cautious but real. At dinner Sunday, they brought gifts for both kids, art supplies for Noah, a clarinet stand for Sophie. And Diane said, "We're learning, Tara. We want to be better." Frank added, "We're sorry, kids. You're as special as Ava and Ethan." Noah and Sophie smiled, their trust slowly rebuilding, and I set boundaries, saying, "Equal love, always, or we limit contact." They agreed, and Kelly texted later, confirming she'd attend Sophie's next concert, a flicker of change I'd watch closely. The town continued to support us, neighbors dropping off books for Noah, music sheets for Sophie. Their kindness a reminder of our new family. I stood on the balcony that night, the stars bright, my kids asleep in their rooms, and felt a peace deeper than any I'd known. Our victory hard, won but real. Over the next weeks, our lives settled into a rhythm, the apartment alive with Noah's sketches and Sophie's clarinet, their confidence blooming. My promotion brought $75,000 a year, letting me save for a house, My goal now $20,000 by next spring. Diane and Frank visited regularly, keeping their word, attending Noah's art shows and Sophie's concerts. Their apologies backed by action. Kelly struggled but showed up, her boutique recovering as she rebuilt her reputation, her apologies growing sincere. One evening, Sophie said, "I like that Grandma listens now. Mom, it feels different." Noah added, "Grandpa asked about my drawings. He never did that before." I hugged them, the kitchen warm with the smell of cookies we'd baked together, and said, "You taught them to see you, kids. You're unstoppable." The fight had been worth it, not just for us, but for anyone who'd ever felt invisible in their own family. Months later, we hosted a big gathering, the apartment packed with friends, neighbors, and even Diane and Frank, Kelly arriving with Ben and the twins. Noah's art lined the walls. Sophie played a clarinet duet with a friend, and the crowd cheered, their support a testament to our journey. Kelly pulled me aside, saying, "I was wrong, Tara. I see Noah and Sophie now. I'm trying." I nodded, offering a cautious smile, and said, "Keep showing up, Kelly. They're worth it." Diane hugged me, whispering, "You're the strongest of us, Tara. We're proud." Frank shook Noah's hand, admired Sophie's music, and I saw my kids shine. Their worth undeniable. As the party wound down, Rachel raised a glass, saying to Tara, Noah, and Sophie for building a home where love is equal. I clinked my glass, tears in my eyes, and said to my kids, who taught me what family really means. That night, I tucked Noah and Sophie in their rooms, a haven of their passions. The apartment quiet except for the hum of the city outside. Noah whispered, "I'm glad we left, Mom. This is our real home." Sophie added, "I feel like I can be me here. Thanks for fighting for us." I kissed their foreheads, their faces peaceful, and said, "You're my everything, always will be." On the balcony, I looked at the stars. My journal closed, its purpose served, the recordings locked away unless needed. We'd faced betrayal, stood our ground, and built a life where Noah and Sophie were seen, loved, and valued. The town's support, my kids' resilience, and my own strength had turned pain into purpose, a legacy of fairness I'd carry forward. Have you ever had to fight for your family's worth, to demand respect where it was denied? In the comments on Total Revenge, like and subscribe for more tales of standing tall. And may you always find the courage to build a home where everyone matters.